Welcome to the District 1010's handover, and it's nice to see so many of you this afternoon. The Rotary Club of Burnt Island and Kinghorn are very proud to host this year's event, which will see Heather Stuart as District Governor for 2021-22. Heather is one of 5 members from Kirkcaldy Raith who have become actively involved in our fundraising and community activities, including some of their own, as well as agreeing to take on some of the leadership roles going forward. In spite, and maybe because of the challenges we've all faced over the last 18 months, it's been a largely positive year for our club. With the kind help and support of Kath Chorley, Vicky Gorn and Force Bridges Club, we've worked in partnership and collaboration to extend their New For You Children's Clothes Bank from Kirkcaldy to Dunfermline. We built on the visioning work in 2019-20 overseen by past President Ken Kirkwood to modernise and create a hybrid club, or as we would prefer to say, a flexible and inclusive club. This involved amending the club's attendance record, debating and agreeing what future meetings should be like, how they should be structured, as well as the technical side of things. In future, our meetings will be more informal and everyone will have the choice of meeting face-to-face or online. In many ways, the flexibility and adaptability required to do this was helped and accelerated by the changes that we all had to make to continue meeting weekly, holding council meetings and committee meetings all on Zoom. We have a new phrase which is used more than any other in our meetings, which is "you're still muted." We're also fortunate that we have maintained a similar level of attendance at many of our meetings as we did prior to lockdown. And technology has allowed us to enjoy some excellent speakers from all over the UK, and they were all free. We've had a successful fundraising year, including our yard sales, and perhaps the highlight, our online Burns evening, Old Lang Zoom, which attracted members from all across RABI and as far away as Canada and Australia. We won't mention my address to the Haggis. With the help, guidance and support of Assistant Governor Dr. Janet Lowe, we are also on course to receive our club citation. We're now looking forward to continuing our journey in the safe and capable hands of President-elect David Kelly, who will be hosting the meeting later on. On a sad note, 2 of our very special members passed away during the Rotary year. Alan Fraser, who was our oldest Rotarian, who retired from Rotary in 2019 in his mid-90s, and our Secretary and 2017-18 President Mike Gillis. Mike, although seriously ill, was the inspiration and driving force behind Old Lang Zoom. Together with his son Connor, Mike also directed and produced the event. It is, I believe, a fitting way to acknowledge Mike's memory and his contribution to Rotary by playing a video of Cora Todd and Mike's son Connor featured on the guitar from Old Lang Zoom, which also shows off the beautiful part of Fife that we live in.
A fond kiss and then we severed. A farewell forever. Deep in heart run tears lately. What inside and grows away. Who shall see that fortune leaves him while the star of hope she leaves him? Me cheerful twinkles me, dark despair around the night. My first feel you my best light like joy and treasure, peace and joy, then one kiss and then severed. If it lasts forever, deep in heart run tears of pleasure. What inside and grows away.
I hope you enjoyed all that and the sound came through okay. We're delighted that Mike's son Connor is now going to join us as an associate member. So Mike's memory will live on with the club in that way as well. Now we're going to see a short video of New For You, which will feature Vicky Gorn. And as we mentioned, it's a good example of joint working across different clubs, which again has been made easier by technology. And it's also the type of project that is going to be very much required, I think, required post-pandemic. And it's built on the idea from Buckhaven and Methil, Alistair's club, which was very successful. So we'll now show that video.
Hi, I'm Vicky Gorn from Forth Bridges Rotary, and welcome to The Cove, New For You Children's Clothing Bank's headquarters. Forth Bridges started New For You in January 2020 in the very humble beginnings of one of our members' garages. We worked very hard in getting stock in and all sorted
so that we could begin giving out referrals.
U4U has been very lucky to have received local business support from our Forth Bridges members' contacts, from storage to collection point and our lovely bags. In March 2020, Forth Bridges member Sandy McPhail from Forth Logistics secured a welfare unit from Babcock and allowed us to keep it in his yard in Dalgety Bay. It needed a wee bit of TLC, but after some scrubbing, you'll see our Alan there with the mop, and a lick of paint, a new roof and new electrics, we're now extremely lucky to have a lovely home named The Cove for the U4U operations to work from.
We've received grants which allow us to give out new underwear with every referral, and the collecting and sorting of clothes just never ends. Burnt Island and Kinghorn Rotary joined us in October last year, and here's Heather in the Cove sorting a bag of lovely donations. To date, we've given out over 250 referrals, which have a week's worth of clothing in each to local children in West Fife. We're all delighted to serve to change lives in our local area and abroad.
Thank you, Vicky. Well done, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Well, outgoing District Governor Alistair Robb has been a Rotary member for 14 years and served as club president in 2013. He and his wife Claire are both Rotarians in the Buckhaven and Methil Club, and also work together in their business, which is involved with IT hardware recycling for business and private customers. They have two grown-up children. Daughter Christy is also a Rotarian in the club, whilst their son Callum has yet to be persuaded to join. Alistair spent many years as District Protection of Vulnerable Groups and Equality and Diversity Officer, and was instrumental in establishing of the annual autumn training seminars covering all areas of compliance, plus membership and public image. He is a passionate advocate of forming new clubs, especially ones that offer an alternative meeting style to the traditional setup. Alistair hopes to see District 1010 clubs get more involved with service products in their communities, using this as a means to attract new members and getting the message out there that Rotary is for everyone. Fellow Rotarians, Alistair Robb.
Thank you very much, President Roger. Well, what a year that's been, eh? Difficult, frustrating, hard work, tiring, incredibly irritating at times, but also very rewarding, inspirational, and full of those important moments that make being a Rotarian just so worthwhile. But I'm not going to talk too much about the events of the last year. I think everyone's more than aware of the events of the last 16 months or so. I want to talk about the future, because Rotary, in my opinion, is in the best state it's been in since I joined in 2008. Now, you're probably going, nah, you're wrong here. But yes, membership may still be falling, and we may possibly lose a few clubs along the way. But I believe we will come out of this period of enforced change a much stronger, relevant and focused organisation than we have been for many, many years. Because clubs have, admittedly, sometimes reluctantly, clubs have embraced the need for change. Maybe not in their meeting patterns and their formats as we'd hoped, but in their activity and in their focus on the disadvantaged people in their own communities. Also in their commitment to the environment and their use of social media to enhance their public image. And clubs which have taken these steps to focus on community and work harder on their public image are already well on the way to turning the corner, attracting new members, changing the public perception of Rotary and making their clubs attractive to the people that we need as members in the years to come. As I visited most of the clubs via Zoom, I was delighted to see how many had used the pandemic to focus their clubs onto projects in their own areas. how many had adapted their meetings to Zoom and had continued not only to effectively fundraise, but also to have fun and maintain much of the fellowship of Rotary. And I've got to give my thanks to all of the clubs and their members for not allowing the virus to affect most of the great work that you all do in the name of Rotary. Our next step as a district really is for clubs to get better at telling everyone how much we do. Many of you, when I've spoken at your clubs, will have heard me say, Rotarians do good by stealth, and I still believe that. I want to see clubs take the great work that they've done this year and all of the fantastic achievements and turn those into new members by letting people know about the huge number of great things that our clubs achieve. But don't forget this one thing, and it's very important. The public actually don't know that we want new members. People will not know that we want new members unless we tell them. A number of times during club visits, members would say to me, but we put loads of great content onto Facebook and no one ever contacts us and asks to join. The answer to that is quite simple. Of all the great posts that you put up on Facebook, do you ever put one up asking people to get involved? Just do it. Trust me, it works. Just ask people to join. But anyway, that's the membership pep talk done. And you're probably all going to hear me talk about membership quite a bit in the next year, so I'll leave it there for now. But as I said earlier, I want to talk about the future, and most clubs can see the way ahead. And thankfully, we have a district team with the vision and the skills to support our clubs as they look to the future. I've been incredibly lucky this year to be supported by a great team. District Secretary Kath stepped in at the last minute after Alistair fell ill and has kept us all on the right track throughout the year, despite having to cope with a house move and no internet for a substantial period of time. Knowing Kath, I'm glad I didn't work in the BT call centre when that mistake was being reported. The other members of the executive have also been a constant support to me. District Governor-elect Heather, DGN Ken, District Treasurer Ewan and past District Governor Alistair have been absolutely invaluable with their help, advice, and sometimes just being an ear to listen to my moans and rants about whatever's been irritating me that particular day. But my eternal thanks have to go to all of this team for supporting me throughout this last year, and also for sharing much of my vision for the future of Rotary in our district. There's also a wider team in the district, our committee and foundation chairs, our conference team, and especially the AGs, and they've all had to adapt to a dramatically new way of working, but they've all managed to continue their support and encouragement for our clubs despite the restrictions. Chairs have been able to meet regularly with clubs and introduce some excellent speakers to the district. We were able to hold an online district conference with speakers from 4 different continents and musical segments from north and south of the district. AGs have been able to get together with their club presidents and visit their clubs more easily than ever. So as you see, our team has adapted incredibly well to the Zoom platform. And I have to thank all of them for their flexibility, their hard work, and their desire to do the best job possible for us all during the pandemic. And the final group I have to thank are the forgotten men and lady of the district, and that's the past district governors. Because the constant support and encouragement from this group behind the scenes has been incredible. As a group, they're always there to help and advise when they can, and I'm delighted to soon be joining such a great group of people, and I hope I can be as helpful to others in the future as they have all been to me. And to finish up my final address as your district governor, I must thank my family who have had to put up with me for the last couple of years, especially my incredible wife Claire, who spent so many nights sitting alone whilst I was on multiple Zoom meetings, and also who's had to run our business almost single-handedly for much of the year as I dealt with Rotary matters. I could not have done this without her. She's been a rock this last year, and I love her dearly for making it possible for me to be able to serve this district as your governor. So all it leaves for me to do now is to virtually hand over the chain of office to our new District Governor, Heather Stuart. I wish her and her team every success for the next year, and I hope I'm able to continue to support them in the future. Congratulations, Heather, and good luck to you all. Thank you.
Thanks, DG Alistair. You know, I was just thinking, it has been such a challenging year for you this year, and I pay particular tribute to you for your leadership during a time when leaders definitely need to step up, and nowhere was that more needed in Rotary. And Alistair, you did just that, adapting how you supported clubs and the district team, and also ensuring that, particularly at the start of lockdown, through the lockdown news, for example, you know, really kept clubs motivated and focused on continuing to work together on projects and to help communities with what matters most, particularly those most vulnerable members within Rotary and also within our communities. And it was an absolutely inspired district conference, and nobody felt the experience was any the less for being online, quite the contrary, and not easy to pull off. So absolutely well done for that, and your leadership throughout the year as well. So in the realm of the virtual handover of things, I would like at this point in the proceedings to virtually hand over a chain to you, the chain to you, which marks your time in office for you as DG Alistair, as is tradition for you to keep as a memory of your leadership of the district. And I'd also like to extend the formal thanks of all Rotarians within District 1010 to you for your leadership and for steering us through such a challenging year. As you've said, you were in this endeavour incredibly supported by your family, and in particular, I know, by Claire. So a little token of our appreciation in there as well for Claire, and I would hope that in the not too distant future we could maybe turn our virtual handover of items into something which was a face-to-face coming together to do that. So thanks again, Alistair, and I would just ask everybody who is attending to mark this handover today to just thank Alistair in the usual fashion. Thank you, much appreciated. Thanks, Ken. So IPDG Alistair, DG Alistair, special guests and fellow Rotarians, good afternoon again. Thank you so much for coming along today to this event to mark the handover of the role of District Governor for our District 1010 Scotland North. This event is intended, of course, to mark the change from one Rotary year to another. And as we have our second district handover on Zoom, we're reminded, as Alistair has talked about, of how the past almost 2 years has looked for Rotary and generally for all of us in our lives. We've shared an experience, whether we wanted to or not, which none of us could possibly have imagined we would live through, and the legacy for which is going to be with us some time. There's no doubt that Rotary has risen to those challenges that COVID has brought, however, and that's certainly the case within our district. Today, later on, we're going to hear from Gordon McNally of Kelso Club, where the coming together of Rotarians from all over the world to hear the world-class speakers at the Kelso Conversations is just one of many examples of the opportunities that the pandemic has also created for Rotary. At the Rotary International Assembly in February, also an online event for the first time ever, incoming Rotary International President Shekhar Mehta outlined his theme for the forthcoming Rotary year 21-22 to the incoming district governors from across the world, which, as we know, is serve to change lives. A focus on service is certainly what is needed from us as Rotarians now more than ever moving forward. And of course, the way that we do that also allows us to work together as Rotarians with all the fun and friendship that comes with working together to make a difference. And as we know, Rotary is about all of those things. So in Shekhar's words, this is a time where we can focus on doing more, because Rotary is needed even more than ever in our communities, which also then allows us to pick up on Alistair's theme about membership to grow more. And let's see if we can, each of us, as Shekar has encouraged us to, each one of us to bring one and really get somebody involved, to share that gift of Rotary with others who we haven't yet got involved in the organisation that we all hold so dear. So widening our reach and focusing on projects which will not only benefit our communities but will make us more visible and ensure that what we do and how we do it is as relevant as possible to our communities is really the challenge for all of us. And that's my focus over the next year, working with all of you, is making Rotary relevant. This was a theme which underpinned the programme for the District Assembly on the 25th of April, where I set out my plans for the year in more detail. And it underpins the 3-year district plan which we've been developing with Rotarians across the district, which is now in place to help us to transition out of lockdown, focus on what's most important to clubs, and to continue together to meet the needs of our communities. Because as we all know, where Rotary really happens is at club level. And for me, the sole purpose of my role as district governor and the role of the wider district support team in its entirety is to support clubs to deliver on their priorities and to continue to make a difference within the communities that we work within. So looking forward, we'll continue to have a focus on eradicating polio and leveraging the legacy from that investment. And I'm keen to work with you to see if we can more consistently across clubs and at district level to promote World Polio Day and mark World Immunisation Week that captures people's imagination to really recognise the role of Rotary in these amazing achievements so far and how close we are to concluding that massive piece of work that we've been involved in since the 1980s. On our programmes, I'm really keen that we work together to increase our access to global grants and district grants and to maximise the impact of what we do. And to encourage working together across clubs, I'd also want to work with you to deliver an annual Rotary Day of Service for our district, which really raises awareness of what we're doing in the district and offers the opportunity at the same time to grow membership and to develop new partnerships. And as DJ Alistair was speaking about, telling our story better is an ongoing challenge and opportunity for us. And there's one thing for sure, there's nobody better to promote Rotary and the benefits of Rotary than those of us who are already lucky enough to be Rotarians. Let's get our Rotary moment out on video, for example, and promote what we do through social media. That's really effective. Why did we join? Why do we love it so much? Why do we want to share it? Let's tell people in a way that suits us, but let's tell people. And widening our reach with young people is also key to our sustainability, alongside the work that we all continue to do as Rotarians. With 5 Rotaract clubs in our district of 88 clubs, it would be amazing to work together to increase the impact, the reach and the membership of Rotaract and Rotaractors, because they can offer so much in terms of how better to engage with young people as clubs in our communities. We also have the chance in the district to be a pilot for a small grants programme for young people, Seeds for Social Action, which I'm keen that clubs within the district take the opportunity to get involved in. With a really inspiring presentation from Shwetal Shah at the District Assembly about this, and we'll be launching this programme shortly within the district with all of the guidance and support that clubs need to get involved. And as we know, environment as our new area of focus is also something in which there's great interest from clubs. To me, it seems a real opportunity to address the issues that we're all facing and care about so much in relation to our environment, but it's also a great opportunity for intergenerational projects, for community engagement, involvement, to make visible the real difference that we can make as Rotarians. And I'd also like to look at the possibility of organising a project fair in the district, which supports clubs to identify other clubs, potential partners to develop projects jointly where there's a shared area of interest. And we will of course continue with a key focus on membership, and having DJ Alistair take on the membership role for next year ensures the continuity that we need in that role and will really help us to build on our achievements so far there and to build on the delivery of the recommendations that the membership task force that worked across last year gave us to move things forward positively there as well. So this might include developing new clubs, looking at doing things differently, hybrid meetings, which are partially online to maximise access, cause-based clubs, partnership opportunities with community organisations, working with people who are already active in their communities, businesses and other organisations. I really think we have a huge opportunity to take Rotary out to communities in the following year, as has always been the case, but to really focus in on that. You know, working with those who are already community leaders, those who would benefit from what Rotary brings to deliver on the needs that they've identified that they're passionate about and are looking to address. And also going out to community organisations who are already making a difference to join forces to maximise that impact, inviting these individuals and communities in to what we as Rotary represent. So the coming year for me is about exactly that, taking Rotary out, bringing the community in, and by doing that and working together, making Rotary relevant. So my vision for the district and the plan that supports the delivery of that, which has been developed with input from clubs across the district, is one which is very live, flexible, and allows all of us to work together to deliver the outcomes that we want and that clubs want and communities need us to take forward, and to reflect the change in circumstances that are no doubt going to continue to be fluid over the next couple of years. Importantly, the plan's not short term at all, and lots of things that we need to do will not be deliverable in the year where I'm district governor, and that's why it's really important that I'm working with Ken McLennan, who's coming in as DG after me, Jim Hatter, who then comes in after him, to ensure that we can have stability and continuity for the next 3 years, and a continued focus on the issues that matter most to you as Rotarians in the district and to clubs. So the pandemic has forced us into huge changes, there's no doubt, and we might or might not be happy about that, but we have had to accept them. But as we hopefully come through the worst of this, we'll be working with clubs to look at and assess what changes they want to make, which may not be 100% going back to how they operated before. But what I do know is that Rotary and we as Rotarians, they were all about people, and what we as people can bring forward to make a difference and to make Rotary relevant. And reflecting on that for today, I was reminded of a quote by Margaret Mead, who spent her whole life studying the holistic view of human nature, which I think sums up the difference that Rotary has always made and continues to make at the level of the individual, the club, and globally. She said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." And I really agree with that. And I think that's what inspires and motivates me to continue with my Rotary journey. Paul Harris, our founder, absolutely understood this and how Rotary offered us an opportunity to deliver change even more effectively together. He said, "Rotary changes us and those we serve. Believe we can change the world one life at a time." He also said, "Whatever Rotary may mean to us, to the world, it will be known by the results it achieves. So let's continue to change the world so that we can influence for the better this coming Rotary year." And as we move into that Rotary year, perhaps most prophetically of all for the times that we now find ourselves in, Paul Harris also said, "This is a changing world. We must be prepared to change with it. The story of Rotary will have to be written again and again." Well, we're definitely rewriting that story now together. And there's no doubt in my mind that we achieve more when we work together, and we're going to be doing that in a very different world in very different ways in the coming year. But I have every faith that we'll do that and do it together. So I'm really looking forward to working with all of you as District Governor and to continue to make Rotary relevant. And thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to do that. I would now like to close by introducing you to those members of the district team for next year who are here today. And I'd like to start with the incoming District Governor-elect, Ken McLennan, who now has the dubious honour of trying to spotlight himself while he hosts the Zoom meeting. Well done, Ken. Extra brownie points for that. And I'd also like to introduce you to incoming District Governor nominee, Jim Hatter.
I need to find them.
Jim. I think people know who Jim is. Here he is. Hello, Jim. And you've already met today. You've already met our District Secretary, Kath Chorley, sweltering away in her conservatory. Hello again, Kath. I know how much you like to be on that big screen there. And District Treasurer, Ewan Hatchwell. Hi, Ewan. And out of the Assistant Governors that we have attending today, we have Assistant Governor Sue Long, but Sue's joining us by phone. So we'll not spotlight her mobile phone. It's not particularly helpful, but Sue is with us, and thank you. Assistant Governor Carol Stuart. Hi, Carol. Nice to see you. Assistant Governor Gillian Brown. Who has the most amazing backgrounds. Fantastic. Thanks, Julian. And last but not least, also with us today, Assistant Governor Libby Seath. Hi, Libby. Stop hiding, Maureen. You're welcome to be spotlighted. And Maureen's incoming president at Carnegie Dunfermline as well. It's lovely to have you both. So thanks, everybody. And also, of course, the wider district support team. Thank you in advance for all the ongoing support from all of the team leaders and the various chairs of our committees, without whom we couldn't do any of this. So thank you, everybody. I really look forward to working with you. I'll now hand you back to President Roger to introduce our speaker for today. Thank you.
Thank you, incoming District Governor Heather. Our special guest this afternoon, Gordon McInally, joined the Rotary Club of South Queensbury in 1984, was club president in 1991 to 92, and served as District Governor for District 1020 in 1997-98. He and his wife Heather relocated from South Queensbury to the Scottish borders following his retirement from full-time dental practice, and are now both members of the Rotary Club of Kelso, where Heather was club president 2019-20. Gordon has served Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland as a committee member and chairman of most of its administrative and service committees, and was RGB and I president in 2004 and 5. He's also served Rotary and International in a number of different capacities, as a committee member and as a chairman, and as a member of the RI board from 2007 to 9. He was chairman of the 2013 Rotary Institute and repeated the role in 2020. Gordon has most recently been awarded the very prestigious Rotary Foundation citation for meritorious service. Gordon has undertaken many tasks on behalf of the foundation. He has spoken as keynote speaker at numerous clubs and district events on Polio Plus, inspiring Rotarians to giving to our #1 priority. Fellow Rotarians, Gordon McInally.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Roger, for that wonderful introduction. I'm delighted to see the art of creative writing is so alive and well in District 1010. I don't know about the rest of you, but I can't wait to hear what I've got to say after a build-up and an introduction like that. It's exactly the sort of introduction my father would have probably been proud of and my mother would have believed. So thank you very much. I'm very touched. I'm conscious, however, that I probably stand between you and the rest of a lovely sunny Sunday afternoon. So as King Henry VIII said to all but one of his wives, I shan't keep you long. It's great to be here, albeit virtually rather than face to face. And I have very many happy memories of attending events in District 1010 over a long number of years. And looking around the screen, I just see so many well-kept faces that I count myself so lucky to have friends in the district. And I only hope that the next 15 minutes or so doesn't put an end to that. But this is not my first time at a District 1010 handover. I was remembering that I was at one before in 1997, when I was the incoming district governor for District 1020. So it's good to be a regular attender at your district handover, and I look forward to being back again in 2045. I have to say, with so many pasts before my name, it's nice to be taken off the shelf now and again and dusted down and given the chance to speak to a Rotary audience like yourselves. And it's a particular pleasure to be speaking to so many club leaders this afternoon, because with the greatest respect to the district team and to all of Rotary's leadership, I believe that the most important Rotary leaders are those in the club, because it's in the work of the clubs that the work of Rotary is done. And without the clubs, Rotary would be nothing. And it's the clubs that the rest of us are so anxious to support. I've been lucky to serve Rotary in a number of different capacities, but the biggest privilege I had was serving, as you heard, in 1991-92 as the president of South Queensferry Rotary Club. You've heard from incoming District Governor Heather about her hopes and aspirations for next year. And can I just say how impressive they are? I think it's a wonderful programme and some wonderful ideas there. And I'm sure you all share these hopes and aspirations. But that said, I'm certain that many of you approach Thursday with a degree of trepidation. After all, most of you probably knew that you were going to be taking office in the clubs in July 2021, before the coronavirus pandemic struck in March of 2020 and changed the world forever. It was the late US Senator Robert Kennedy who said in a speech back in 1966, "We live in interesting times." Well, 55 years later, I don't think I would be stretching the point were I to say, we live in interesting times, very interesting times. But I also believe we live in interesting times and exciting times. And that is why in many ways I envy you being leaders next year, because of the opportunities that the past year has presented you with as you move Rotary forward in your respective clubs and in your district. As I prepared for this weekend's event, I realised it was exactly 30 years ago that I was preparing to serve as club president as a fresh-faced 33-year-old dentist who wanted to change the world. Now, these were not quite Rotary's salad days, but these were days when change was resisted. And I found it very hard to change the way my Rotary Club thought or operated, despite my relatively youthful optimism. It was very much a case of steady as she goes. I'll never forget the deathly silence as I brought my first address to the club as its new president to a rousing conclusion and unfurled a banner that had been made by my then 7- and 5-year-old daughters that said, "Just do it." The club weren't quite ready for banners or slogans like "just do it." And at that point, I think the overwhelming thought in the members' heads was, what had they just done by electing me as president? So that's why I envy you in the fact that you're lucky enough to be serving at a time when everyone is, or at any rate, everyone should be, ready to embrace change and to innovate. Alistair touched on it earlier, but embrace and change and innovate we must, because without change, the future of Rotary is very bleak. Now, change can be daunting, change can be scary, but it can also be exciting and energizing. So embrace it and thrive on it, because it must happen now before it's too late. As Heather says, we need to make Rotary relevant. We owe it to all those who have gone before us. And there's another group we owe it to. I couldn't help but notice, but up until Friday, 7,708 people in Scotland have died from coronavirus. Now, that might not seem like a huge number compared to the 128,000 who have died throughout the UK. But these 7,708 people are not just a statistic. They're not just a number. Doubtless some of them were known to you. They were husbands, they were wives, they were fathers, they were mothers, they were brothers, they were sisters, they were colleagues, they were friends. And I firmly believe that we owe it to their memory to make sure we change and go forward in a positive way to better serve the communities in which we live. So what of the future? Well, I hear a lot of people saying that they have a fear we are just at the beginning of the challenges of COVID-19 as we start to build back our communities and our world. But we should have nothing to fear. In the coming months, our government will hopefully seek to rebuild our society and our economy. Now, in some cases, communities have actually been strengthened by the challenges of the COVID pandemic. The communities you work in may fall into that category, but not all have. And so the big question is, who's going to help rebuild the weakened communities? Who's going to heal the rifts and divisions exposed by the pandemic? Who's going to reach across the divide? Who's going to rebuild a sense of unity that says we can and we will make a difference in the lives around us? Well, I would suggest that as Rotarians, we are among the best positioned to lead the rebuilding, the reforming and the reshaping that will be needed in our communities. This is what we do. This is who we are. In fact, you could say we were built for this. You know your communities better than anyone else. You know their strengths and you know their weaknesses. You know the good and the bad. You share their joys and their sorrows. You know, and I'm sure in many cases, you love these communities. You care about them and you care about what happens to them. And I'm certain that you seek the very best for them. Rotary has always built back better, or as incoming RI Director Nikki Scott would say, built forward better following crises. Our membership and, more importantly, our ability to serve grew following the Spanish pandemic of 1918. We grew after the Great Depression of 1921. We grew after the Asian flu pandemic of 1957. And we grew after both world wars. But I would suggest that only happened because we seized the opportunity. So as we find ourselves approaching the end of another crisis, you, me, all of us must seize this opportunity to take Rotary into the new normal, as people are calling it. But we need to do it now, and we need to do it before the opportunity passes. Now, I know you've spent a lot of time over the last few months thinking and talking about and planning for next Rotary year, working out how best to do things. But rather than dwell on the how, I would like to say something about the why. Why might you want to operate the way you will as we move into a new Rotary year? I think it's important we never forget why Rotary exists. It exists to help others. To borrow the motto of the Rotary Foundation, it exists to do good in the world. But what good do we do? That's not always the easiest of questions to answer. But I would suggest that at the most basic level, the good Rotary does is that we bring people hope, hope for the future. By lifting people out of poverty and by giving them hope, I honestly believe we can go a long, long way to making major inroads into strife and to creating a more peaceful world. Over the last few years, I've been lucky enough to see with my own eyes many examples of how Rotary brings people together and how Rotary brings people hope. And I'm sure many of you have too. But perhaps it's worth reflecting on just a few of those examples. I've held the hands of AIDS orphans living in abject poverty in Rwanda and elsewhere in Africa through no fault of their own. These children will live or die depending on Rotary. I've walked alongside people in too many countries forced to walk miles for water that is both polluted and diseased because there's no pump in their village. These people will drink clean water or not, depending on Rotary. I've comforted small children living in rubbish tips in South America, digging for what they might find to eat. These children will survive or not, depending on Rotary. And only 4 years ago, as part of an initiative spearheaded by Alison Steadman, a Rotarian in your own district, I watched people in rural Kenya prepared to walk miles on their own to a dental clinic in a remote village because Rotary had promised to stop their pain. These people were going to suffer or not, depending on Rotary. And these are only 4 examples of countless examples I could give you of where Rotary, where you and your clubs do good by bringing hope. But it's not enough to simply bring hope. By bringing hope, what is it we wish to achieve? Peace is one of the cornerstones of Rotary and one of our soon-to-be 7 areas of focus. Some people think that peace is simply an absence of war, an absence of armed conflict. But of course, we know that peace is so much more. Peace is freedom. Peace is healthy children and adults. Peace is clean water and sufficient food. Peace is education, human rights, dignity, clothing, housing, and concern for mankind. But above all, peace is love. As Rotary, what more could we strive for than a more peaceful world, a more caring world, a more loving world than we have just now? And I believe it's our desire to create a more peaceful world, a more caring world, a kinder world that answers the question, why do we do what we do? Friends, I'm conscious that time is our enemy, and I'm also conscious that I promised earlier not to take up too much of it. Lord Burkitt, writing in the Observer newspaper more than 50 years ago, said, "I don't object to people who look at their watches whilst I'm speaking, but I do object to those who start shaking them to make sure they're still going." Well, as I glance around my screen, I can see a few people taking a sneaky look at their watches or a glance at the bottom right-hand corner of their screen to check the time. So far, I haven't seen anybody pick up a laptop and shake it or shake their wrist to make sure these clocks are still going. So I shall quit while I'm ahead. I'm anxious that next Rotary year, clubs within District 1010, clubs within Great Britain and Ireland, and clubs throughout the world should have their best ever year. And I don't say that for soon-to-be RI President Shaker Mehta. And I don't say that for the soon-to-be District Governor Heather Stuart. And with the greatest respect, I don't even say it for any one of your sakes. No, the reason I want next year to be Rotary's best ever is that by being so, when we all look back on the 30th of June 2022, at the projects we have carried out, at the causes we have championed, at the people to whom we have given hope, we will do so in the knowledge that we have done our best for the sake of the people who needed us most. We will do so in the knowledge that we have done good in the world, and we will do so in the knowledge that we have brought hope. And to paraphrase President Shaker's theme, we will do so in the knowledge that through our service, we have changed lives. So as you go forward to next Thursday and the 1st of July and the new Rotary year, I wish you well at this pivotal time for Rotary. Dare to dream, be the change makers, but above all, enjoy it. And be assured you have the support of all of us. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gordon, for such a thought-provoking presentation and for inviting us to dare to dream next year and to make it the best year for Rotary ever. I think there is a real energy building around that, and I think you really brought to life what all of us truly believe is that, you know, we can make a huge difference in people's lives. And thanks so much for taking the time to come and to join us today and for preparing such an interesting presentation. So thank you again. I'm going to ask you to join us in thanking Gordon for his time today. Thanks. Okay, thank you again. Thanks, Gordon. So I'll hand over now to President-elect Dave Kelly, also from the Rotary Club of Burnt Island and Kinghorn, please.
Thank you, Heather. And it's my pleasure to introduce District Governor-elect Ken to give the vote of thanks. I'm sure that Ken does not need much of an introduction to many of you, but here's a very short resume of Ken, who's a member of the Rotary Club of Forres. He joined Rotary in Portlethen about 20 years ago, becoming club president, and has since been district membership lead, new club formation for Rotary GB&I, and assistant Rotary coordinator in Region 20. As part of the Rotary GB&I membership team, Ken developed demographic analysis for over half of our districts and developed the online health check process, now shared across Rotary International. As DGN, Ken became a well-known and respected face on the Zoom Monday forum. Ken is now retired. He was a business unit director in the oil and gas services and spent 15 years overseas, looking after businesses in Southern Africa, and started businesses and partnerships in Brazil, Angola, Mozambique, Algeria, and Trinidad. Ken was accompanied by his wife Mary and family. He believes that his 2 daughters are now off the payroll. Well, as a father of 2 daughters, I can assure Ken that this will never be the case. Ken and Mary have recently built and moved into their dream home near Forres, which makes this their 14th house move. He's a keen walker, usually with a camera close at hand, and is still keen to travel once restrictions are lifted. Ken, over to you for the vote of thanks.
Thanks very much. So I get the difficult shift at the end and not an opportunity to write a talk up front. So a few thanks are in order. First of all, a huge thank you to our DG Alistair. It's been some year. I never cease to be amazed at what Rotary has achieved and certainly put us in good stead for moving forward as COVID lets us go. To Burnt Island and Kinghorn, to Roger and Dave and all your members for hosting us, albeit in Zoom. Alan Fraser and Mike Gillis will be well remembered, and all the other Rotarians who've moved on to higher service this year. We will no doubt put a different slant on A Fond Kiss. That touched our heartstrings. Well done, Connor and Cara, for that beautiful rendition. New for You, what an amazing project, and what an amazing way of showing how Rotary can work together across clubs and across areas. That should be shared more often. What on earth can you say about Gordon McAnally that's not been said before? Thank you, Gordon, for the inspiration and for encouraging us to move forward and the good, showing us the good that Rotary does. And of course, well done on the very well-deserved citation for meritorious service. On behalf of Rotarians, thanks for the commitment to everyone stepping up to district to support you, the members, in whatever way you need. Alistair started it and Heather set it up, and I'm following it through on a 3-year plan, and also the support on the membership going forward that our task force did this year. And Jim Hatter, who will follow me in a year's time, we know is going to follow that plan as well. And if we do that, and if clubs get behind that, we've got an amazing organisation. Fear not of the future. You've heard that several times. We will continue to make a difference. And as you've heard a couple of times, build forward better for the future. Thanks, not least everyone who's come along. Have a great year in all that you do. As Alistair said, tell people about this fantastic organisation, and thank you for all that you do in the name of Rotary. And that thanks is not from Rotary, but from everybody around the world that benefits from what we do. Have a great year, Heather. Let me be the first to publicly congratulate you. I'll see you all at next year's handover, and I'll hand back to David.
Thank you, Ken. Like many of you, I am really looking forward to the new Rotary year and the new normal, not only as club president, but as part of a club offering and giving support to District Governor Heather. It is also the Rotary Club of Burnt Island and Kinghorn's 40th anniversary. We shall be holding our charter dinner in less than a year's time on Friday the 24th of June 2022, and I hope to see as many of you there as possible. To add to Ken's vote of thanks, I would like to mention my club president, Roger. He has had a very difficult year and a very eventful year, and I know that chairing today's handover means a great deal to him and is something that he will cherish for a very long time. I would like to thank Kath for organising the event. I know that Ken's already done that, and I wish Heather as District Governor and all of you and your clubs the very best for the coming year. Now, if you could raise your cup or glass for a very short toast. Toast is Rotary the world over.
Rotary the world over.
Rotary the world over.
Thank you all for being here at this year's district handover. Thank you again.
Thanks, folks. Safe journey back to the other part of the house. Thanks for coming along.
Well done, Heather.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
Well done. Best, Heather.
Have a great year, everybody.
Yeah.
Look forward to working with you.
Congratulations.
Bye-bye.
Have a good year, Heather.
All the best, everybody.
Thanks,
All the best.
Gordon.
Bye.
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 Bye.